Lower one.
Did you smile?
No. Your cameraman.
Imagine your child going outside and playing in the front yard. You decide to stay inside and work on your income tax. But not for long. You've been working for about 30 minutes and you hear your child screaming outside. You jump up and you run to the front door. Your heart is pounding, but when you get to the door and open it, it feels as though your heart has stopped. Your daughter is running towards you, screaming and crying because she's bleeding, and she's holding her arm because she's been bitten by a dog. The dog is chasing her, so you must act quickly. You scoop her up, go inside, slam the door, and call 911. 2 days later, your daughter has been running fever and not acting right, so you decide to take her to the hospital. When they get to the hospital, they decide to run some tests on her and check her and her bite wounds. The doctor returns in a couple of minutes and lets you know that they have to put your daughter in the hospital immediately. The dog that has bitten her has rabies, and she may not have that long to live. There might be a chance to save her with treatment, but the chances are extremely slim. Rabies is a deadly virus and a global epidemic that takes tons of people and animals' lives, and not many people survive at all. We will discuss these in effort to understand what happens whenever you get rabies as a human or an animal, in a way that you can reduce the risk of getting rabies. In the vaccines of biodefense in emerging and the neglected diseases, Alan Barrett reports in 2004 rabies was responsible for 8 cases. 4 of those cases were because of a donor from Arkansas, a man who was bitten by a bat, and he had some of his organs and his tissues transplanted into 4 people that killed them. They also had a teenager in Wisconsin that contracted rabies, but she survived. And rabies is a killing disease. It is reported in India. Though exact figures are not available, it is estimated that more than 25,000 people die of rabies each year. These figures are based upon the reports of few leading infectious disease hospitals of the country. There is one way, however, to either prevent or to reduce the rabies patients. That is vaccinations. Vaccinations are given to your pets annually at the veterinarian's office, but the laws for each state is different. The AVMA tells us that in Louisiana, dogs, cats, and ferrets 3 months of age must get their first rounds of vaccinations. After that, every 12 months they must receive the same vaccination. Wild animals, including raccoons, foxes, skunks, and bats, are carriers of the rabies virus. So vaccinating your furry friends can protect you and your family from getting the rabies down the road. According to the Center of Disease and Control Prevention, the CDC, approximately 120,000 animals or more are tested for rabies each year in the U.S., and 6% of those animals actually have the rabies. Because the chances of encountering rabies in your lifetime is there, you need to know what to look for. In animals that are suspected of having rabies, they keep them under observation and quarantine them for 10 days. The first phase of rabies usually lasts 2 to 3 days and is not very noticeable at all. The dog may develop fever or become nervous or restless. According to the Animals Disease and Human Health, Davis says, friendly dogs may become shy and irritable, or aggressive dogs may become unusually affectionate. The second phase of rabies is called furious rabies, and here's where a dog becomes aggressive. Davis states that it may be sensitive to light, touch, and sound and may be very dangerous, attacking anything in its path, including bars as you see here. It doesn't have to be a person. The last stage is called paralytic phase, and here is where the animal has paralysis of the vocal cords, which can cause a change in the bark, or they also can have paralysis of the throat muscles that causes the drooling, the salivation that you see, because they're having trouble swallowing now. The dogs become uncoordinated, paralyzed, and eventually slip into a coma, and often dies of respiratory arrest. If you think that because you do not have an animal means that this does not affect you, you are dead wrong. This is a zoonotic disease, which means the virus is passed from them to you. All it takes is one bite or scratch from the infected animal, and now you have the virus. It's transferred through saliva and moves through the body until it reaches the brain and causes brain damage. And it can be very fatal, very fast. So once you get this disease, time is ticking and time is of the essence. You start out by having fever and flu-like symptoms. According to the CDC, there may be discomfort or prickling sensation on the bite wound, and this progresses within days to symptoms of cerebral diffusion, anxiety, confusion, and agitation. Then, the disease progresses even further. The person may experience delirium, abnormal behavior, hallucination, and insomnia. Be aware that by the time most of these symptoms arise, it might be too late to do anything at all. According to the CDC, up to this date, there's been less than 10 documented cases of survival of clinical rabies have been reported, and only 2 have been pre or post exposed to the vaccination. In closing, rabies is a global epidemic affecting humans and animals alike. Less than 10 people have been reported to survive its effects. In conclusion, there are only a few ways in which you can protect yourself. First, vaccinate your animals annually. Second, learn to look for the signs of the rabid animal. Next, if you're bitten, have it checked out immediately. For more information, you can log on to www.cdc.org/rabies and join the cause to encourage people to be proactive as well as reactive to this killer virus today. Remember, if you get the rabies virus today, you may not have it tomorrow to look forward to. Thank you and good luck.
Very good.